What's going on, my babies? Welcome back to another episode of The Spiritual Word. I'm your host, Jackie. I upload Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. If psychology, self help, science, spirituality, and philosophy is something that you're interested in, those are my main 5 topics. So I'd recommend subbing or following whatever platform you're finding me on. I have an audio version of this podcast anywhere you could find podcasts. And I have a video version of the podcast on YouTube. They're both named The Spiritual Word, so it'll be really easy to find. Before I start these, I like to start these off with a disclaimer by stating that these are for entertainment purposes only. Always your own research to come to your own conclusions, to have your own answers, to make your own decisions, to be your own person. I believe in your ability to do so, as you've already shown me is possible by clicking on today's episode. And I also like to start these off by saying that I apologize for any noises in the background in advance. And anything of that nature. I think I already said that. But if I didn't, sorry for that. So today I wanted to talk about something that I was talking about yesterday. And what I was talking about yesterday is manifestation. And I want to do a really short and simple method, which is just there's a cat that's looking out of my window, and he's just like a really silly looking cat. Like, he's just weird. He acts like a monkey, but he's a cat. Like, you know how monkeys have like a really big personality? They're not really scared of people, and they'll just snatch food out of your hand if they really want the food. But they're also really gentle, and they're like, "Oh, I love you." That's how this cat is. And I'm like, that's so crazy. So I call him a monkey. He's a boy. He's a little boy, so I call him the little monkey boy. And he looks like a monkey. His tail's always up and curved, and it's so funny. And he has like a little. I'm so off topic. Never mind. I digress. This is not what we're talking about in today's episode. My ADHD kicking my ass right now. So, focusing on what we're actually talking about today. So, manifestation is something that's kind of simple. And I'm going to give you like a really simple technique that will work for anybody. As long as you believe that it'll work, it will work. So, care about how you feel, and how you feel is what you're going to get in the world. If you're living, and when I looked down at my timestamp, it was 2:22. If you're living your life through a really worried lens, if you're always fearful, if you're always in survival mode, if you're always in a lack mode, then that's what you're going to get, because that's how you feel. And the universe doesn't understand what you need versus what you're feeling. It only understands what you're feeling, so it gives you more of that feeling. So if you're trying to manifest wealth, health, abundance, whatever the fuck, feel those things are already real. Like, pretend that that's already real right now. And don't pretend to actually feel like that's true, because it is true, because you can make it true. And so you sit there and you feel your true, honest feelings of security, abundance, health, wealth, all the things you could ask for, and you feel really good in this moment. Then the universe will be like, "Oh, okay, this is what you need. I'm gonna bring you more of that, more of that, more of that, more of that." Life is like life works in cycles, right? Like, that's why the moon has a cycle, because that's the way that the world works. That's why we have summer, spring, fall, winter, and it's a continuous cycle of the same thing. That's why the sun comes up and it goes down, and the moon comes up and it goes down, because we're in a cycle. And so you have to create the cycle that you want to live in, or create the world that you want to live in, by telling the world, okay, I'm really excited right now because I'm going to get a surprise. I don't know what the surprise is, but I know that my day is not going to be the same as yesterday. And if you're like one of those people who's like, well, I already know what's in store for today. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go home. I'm going to do the same thing over and 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 over. And I hate it. But you're feeling hate for that cycle. Then that cycle will repeat, because you hate it, because that's what you're feeding it. You're feeding it your feelings. And that's how the cycle recycles. Now, if you don't really care about it, then the world will bring you whatever you're focused on then. If you are like in a really good positive mood, but you're just kind of like free in that moment, then your life will look different. And you won't know what's going to happen next. And so you develop that relationship with the universe. You create that cycle for yourself, and you're like, okay, I don't really know what tomorrow's going to look like, but I'm not really caught up on it. But I know that's going to be a good day, because if I wake up, it's a good day. And then you wake up and you're like, oh, I woke up. Sweet. We don't know what's going to happen today. And then boom, some surprise happens, or some exciting thing happens, or something that you weren't expecting to happen happens. And so try to focus on the positive things in life, because the more you focus on the positive things, the more life will bring you positive things, because life is a cycle. Whatever you're feeding it will come back to you. Whatever you give comes back to you. Right? Like karma is something that people think that you get what you give, but that's life itself. You get what you give. So if you're giving life this energy of like, I am a great person. I feel amazing. I feel like nothing could ever touch me. I feel like I'm getting everything that I ever asked for without having to ask for it. And then you continuously propel that cycle. Then that cycle will show up in your reality. You don't know necessarily when, because you don't know how long it takes for you to get into the new cycle. But and when I looked down at my clock, it was 5:55, and 5 is the number of change. So you don't know when exactly your reality is going to change, but you know that it's going to change, and so you're repelling that idea, like, oh my gosh, it's changing, oh my gosh, it's happening. And the more excited you feel, and the better you feel about the situations that you're creating, the better the situations will be, because that's what you're telling the universe you need. And the universe is constantly giving you stuff that you need. It's constantly sending down supplies. It's constantly sending down, like, food and shelter and water and resources. The universe knows that you need those things. So it's like, okay, if you sit there and you're like, oh, I love that I have so much water at my house all the time, then the universe is like, oh, you like this. You're putting weight to this. So that means it's kind of like if you had a grocery list for the universe. Your energy is what writes on the list. So let's say you have a moment of distress and you're like, oh my gosh, my life is coming to an end. I'm having a mental breakdown. That's what the universe will write down. And it'll say, okay, mental breakdown. That's what you need on the grocery list. And then the next day you're like, oh, I'm on top of the world. I'm on cloud nine. Then the universe is like, okay, on cloud nine. This is what this person needs. Needs more on cloud nine feelings. What can I do that will bring them more of that? And then you have another day where you're like, another on cloud nine. And then it's like, okay, another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. And so your list is like one mental breakdown, and then the rest of the list, when you going down it, it's like cloud nine, cloud nine, cloud nine. The universe is gonna sit there and be like, okay, you don't really need this one, but so I'm gonna give you like one of these just because you obviously don't need it. You're not paying attention to it, so it's not something that's relevant to you anymore. But what you do need is more of this cloud nine feeling. So let me bring you stuff that will create this feeling, because this is something that you're needing. It's not something that you're lacking, it's something that you're abundant in. So the universe will continue to bring you the same grocery list, because most people like consistency. And I feel like when you're at peace, it's because that peace is constant. So it's like the universe is constantly being like, okay, what do you need from the grocery store? And you're like, well, I feel at peace right now. That's my vibration. And you're sitting there and you're feeling at peace, and then the world's like, oh, okay, so you're using this resource, I'm going to bring you more of that. And if you're using sadness or frustration and it's always on that list, then that's what the universe is going to bring you. The universe doesn't know exactly what you need, because it's not feeling the exact way that you're feeling, because it needs to be out of you. It needs to be from an objective standpoint. So it could be like, oh, okay, I am bringing you groceries. I can't sit here and eat your food, because then I won't know what to bring you, because I won't know what you want. And so you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I feel really good today. I feel really good today. I feel really good today. And then the universe is like, oh, okay, this is what I need to bring you from the grocery store. Here's more good feeling, because you've been eating that up constantly, and you're out of it. So let me give you more. And it's not that I want to use the right vocabulary and say that it's not that you're ever out of it, right? Because if you're feeling it, then you're abundant in it. But it's kind of like, how rich people, when they have fridges, their fridges are always stocked. Always. Like, I don't know if you guys follow rich people on YouTube or whatever, but I always love looking at people's fridges, because I feel like if I open a fridge and you have rows and rows and rows of the same thing, I'm in heaven. I could just grab one And you're not going to run out anytime soon. You know, like that's the feeling of so much security, so much abundance, right? And because you have so much of this thing, the universe is saying, oh, okay, you're not worried about this thing, so let me go restock it for you. Because the universe is never depleting of any resource. Like, I'm never running out of air. You know what I mean? I'm never running out of ideas. I'm never running out of feelings. I'm never running out of water. I guess water could be a depleting resource because we're humans and it's not going to last forever. But at the same time, I doubt that I'm going to be the one that drinks the last sip. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that serious. And I feel like humans create this idea that there's so much urgency. Like, if I cut down 2 trees, we're never having any more trees. We create that sense of urgency for ourselves. And I feel like we trick ourselves without even knowing that we're tricking ourselves, because I genuinely do not think that we're running out of anything anytime soon. And the more we think we're running out of stuff, the more urgent we feel, the more fast we need to move. And I feel like that's just a perpetuated idea by other people. It's not real. So, with that being said, your abundance is whatever you're feeling. If you feel constantly sad, that's what you're going to bring, because that's your abundance. You're abundant in sadness. So the universe is like, okay, this is the resource that you're using. You're not going to run out on my watch. I'm going to restock the fridge before you even look at the fridge. I'm going to restock it as we speak. You're using that resource. I'm going to put it back. And so you never run out of anything. And this is why some people get stuck in their cycles of like sadness or frustration, because it's a never-ending thing. You can choose to just keep pulling the string, and the string is going to keep coming out. We're never running out of anything. You're a human being. If you do run out, you're probably already dead. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's funny when people are like, I want the zombie apocalypse to occur now, because I would definitely survive. And I'm like, I guarantee by the time that happens, I'm going to be dead. We're going to have to, like, really fuck up our civilization and our, our societies for that to occur, because if we're really fucking up that bad, we're gonna need to be that smart to begin with, because we're not that smart. Like, we give ourselves way too much credit. And I mean, we are smart, but we're not the universe smart, because we're fragmented, like we only have so much capability. We only have so much bandwidth if you're a computer nerd like me. So with that being said, let me put this into a nice concluded little bow tie for you. Nice little bow. Put it in a little box. Give you a little gift. So, if you want to manifest, use the resource that you want to see. And when you're using this resource, you will create that from the world. You'll create that from your energy, because whatever you're throwing out into the universe is like, oh, okay, this is what you want to see. Let's give it back to you. Your reality will mirror you. And if you're sitting there constantly feeding the universe good things, if you're constantly sitting there and you're feeling your good feelings, that's what you will create from the universe. It'll feed that back to you, because it's not depleting. Nothing is created nor destroyed. When you have a feeling, it's coming out into the world, and then it comes back to you through reflection. And you will create that. But, have a little bit of gratitude and sympathy, and nurture the reality that you're in. Nurture yourself, because if you don't believe like these ideas that I'm giving you are true, then it's because you're not feeding yourself nutritional things. You're not giving yourself love, you're not giving yourself care. And I'm one of those people who got cancer all over my damn chart. So like, you best believe that that's my number one priority, to get you to care about yourself, because the more you can nurture and take care of yourself, the easier you're going to have of a time. Period. Because if you're caring about yourself, you don't need anybody else's validation or love or nurturing, because you're doing that for you. And it's not that you won't like want it ever, but you won't need it. It's not something that you're gonna bend over backwards to get from somebody else, because you're already doing that for yourself. So it's a very smooth road to say the least. Anyways, I wouldn't say that constantly, but you know, smooth road when it comes to other people, because now you don't care about when people love you and stuff like that. But if they love you, then you're like, oh, cool, I love this, and it's fun. So, with that being said, thanks for tuning in and tapping in. Take everything that I say with a grain of salt. I don't know shit, okay? And obviously, go with whatever you believe, because your beliefs are how you're creating this reality. And if you don't believe my beliefs are true, then it's not going to work for you. So, also recognize that. Anyways, before I end this, I want to say thank you for tuning in and tapping in. My new babies, follow, sub, whatever platform you're finding me on. If, this is entertaining or helpful in any way, shape, and form. If you're a returning baby, thanks for tuning in and tapping in. As always, you know that I love you. And thanks for being here, and I really appreciate you. And with that being said, I want to end this by saying what I already said. Take everything that I say with a grain of salt. Because I'm not your life, I'm not your shoes. But as always, have a good day, have a good night whenever you're listening, and I'll see you in the next one.